Hey there, how's it going? It's Slayer here. Thanks for joining me today. I got a request to show my roster, so I thought I'll run you through it. Now, before I begin, I don't intend to say that this is the perfect build, though I do some pretty heavy damage, as you would have seen in my raid videos. But I am not saying this is the perfect build, but this is kind of like the build that works for me. And we all have our approaches based on whether you. I know the game is the same, but based on whether you play on an iOS or an Android like I do, a newer device, older device, an emulator, or an iPad, that influences how you physically play the game, and that influences your style. And depending upon your network or any potential lag or other stuff you may have, you may customize accordingly. Like some people use defense, some people choose not to use defense. So here's my roster. So yeah, we've got the usual in terms of both damage dealers and support. I've got Raven, Batman Ninja Batman, Heartbreaker Harley Quinn, Mr. Freeze, Multiverse Armored Supergirl, Entangling Poison Ivy, Black Manta, Beast Boy, King of Atlantis Aquaman, Ruler of Kahndaq Black Adam, Nightmare Batman, Hawkman, and so on. And you've seen my 6 one-shot teams, and I even built up 8. So that's a separate video I'll get into later. Now, the key thing I do with my damage dealers is that I try to ensure that, besides maxing their crit, I give most of them lethal, because even besides the Batman Ninja team, particularly when you're dealing with leggies, legendaries, and stuff, some of them benefit as it stacks up, and sometimes, by using lethal, you get a chance to give any legendary character you have extra power gen. Like I've got at Pip, you've seen where Black Manta is used with BNGG along with Rockbar and Gemstone, and using BNGG with lethal on both Black Manta and Rockbar gives you that infinite power gen that lets you keep on doing the third one. So that's pretty much it. And then the other thing I do to my damage dealers is I add fast attack to most of them, barring King of, like I've recently added some fast attack to King, but I don't have any fast attack much on Beast Boy or Mr. Freeze. I don't think they benefit from it. I may have some on Batwoman the Drowned, but I don't think she benefits much from that either. So yeah, I don't have much on her. So let's now begin. So Raven is primarily my support. She's the best support in the game, and sometimes you can use her as a damage dealer as well with Beta or with the brain and adding Brainiac and stuff to the mix. So this is pretty much my routine build. Like all characters I give them a max crit damage, max crit chance, max lethal attack chance, and fast attack chance. Now that is pretty rare for a support, because normally, like, I do this for a damage dealer, and then some people don't use defense, but I'd probably put like 60 to 70%, as you'd see in my other damage dealers, and some resistances. Now I know people say, why do you want to use resistances or defense? Because I'm like, I don't just prepare for every routine boss. I'm like, trying to prepare for those 2 or 3 tough bosses. Like there's one on ice, and there's one that, that chaos atrocitus and stuff like that. So the really tough ones are like the, higher leagues of divisions, like invasions, than the one I'm currently in. So having some resistances already helps. And the other thing is, ever since we have had not just Ascension but level 80 gears, or even before by going to 7 star, you don't really need to choose between a damage dealer or a tank build, because by removing Raven's defense and stuns and resistances and whatnot, and her health is beefed up by that war suit, so don't go by it. Her actual health is around 37,000, which is normal. So even if I remove the defenses and resistances and add another 1 or 2 grand of attack, it's already reached a point where it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So I'd rather have it in for a higher league of division and invasions, or for those one-odd bosses that are pretty tough. So that's Raven. That's my support. And main support. And yeah, I've given her some resistances, lethal attack chance, and yeah, armor pierce. So most of my twin blades, like my main one is at level 10, another one is at level 6. So giving her 24% gives you a chance to use twin blade with a near max one as well. And for all of like my key characters, I try getting not only level 80 gears but epic rolls in the fourth slot and epic talents, as you saw. And in this one, unfortunately, I don't have all epic rolls, but I've got lethal attack damage. I've got some artifacts which are all epic rolls as well. So it's like one of those things, like, I don't know, like Barney from How I Met Your Mother. Oh, it's gonna be epic. Wait for it, it's gonna be legendary. I'm like, yeah, sure. So that's fine. So that's Raven. And then this is my one of my main damage dealers, Batman Ninja Batman. So right now, again, I've currently put the Amulet of Tech on him, but that's normally not what I use. I normally use him with Beta, or yeah, I guess that's, or sometimes I use him with Twin Blades. So this is his core build. I've got him max ascended, but I haven't taken his passive to the max. I think level 5 is enough in terms of the additional crit damage. So for my damage dealers, I've got the max crit attack, the max crit chance, max lethal attack chance, and max fast attack chance as well. But because he's fully ascended, I have max defense as well. But until I had ascended him, I'd probably say around 50-60% defense is enough. But now that I've pretty much got 11,000 attack even with defense and resistances, so I don't mind. So this is something that wasn't possible before we had level 80 gears and ascension. It was sometimes possible with 7-star based on your gear, because I remember when this game first started 4 years ago and stuff, there was a time when you had to choose between a damage dealer or a tank build, and you could only either have the left side, the crit one, or the right side, the defense and the resistance is maxed, and not both. And getting a mixed build used to be pretty hard, and people used to try to get multiple gears, so the same character from raid, so that they could create like a separate critical build, a separate lethal build, or like separate damage dealer build, including all of that, or a separate tank build. But here, with thanks to all of this jazz about ascension, descension, whatever, and level 80 gears with epic slots and stuff, what you can basically do is you can pretty much, like for key damage dealers like Batman Ninja Batman, pretty much max everything out, and you've still got like and I haven't gotten any health rolls on him. This is health with the base health for a maxed Batman Ninja Batman without me adding any gears on the roll, health rolls on the gears. And yep, so you've got 11,000 attack, and you've got like 47,000 health. And this, of course, now I have a chance, because now with the level 5 passives, I have 400% base critical attack. I have a chance to perhaps get rid of one roll and add attack, but that's okay. I don't really need to do much, but I keep the lethal to benefit from BNR and whatnot. So that's one of the main things for this team. So this is Batman Ninja Batman, and I've also got I've given him some armor pierce. As I said, 24% is enough because I've got a max twin blades. So this is him without any artifacts, and I'd normally use him with beta. So I've got 2 beta clubs here. So this is one where I've got like lethal attack and a hazard dot damage and an attack roll. So I normally use this one on him, or the other one that I've put on Raiden is basically just got attack dot and damage for special 2. So I'd normally use him with this one here. There you go. So that's Batman Ninja Batman. So he's got all this jazz, and he's got that other jazz as well from the Beta Club. So yeah, so and then here he's yep, yeah, so it's pretty full on. So yeah, that's normally the way I use him, or I could use him with my level 10 twin blades, which has got that 80% chance, 300% damage, and it's got lethal attack damage too. I've got to work on the other 2 rolls. I don't have enough of those tokens to roll them to get them onto the lethal, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. And for the time being, just for invasions or arena, I've given him the Amulet of Tech, which also has a lethal damage roll. Ideally, it should have been epic. Plus, it gives him extra health, so that can work in arena and sometimes invasions as well. So that's one of my key damage dealers, as you've seen in my videos. And then I've got Heartbreaker Harley Quinn, and she's max ascended, but with level 6 passives. I don't really think you need level 7, besides the fact that I don't have the required whatever that Eternium or Eternia Jazz is. And then this is her build. What with HBHQ, you just need to max your fast attack and max your crit chance and get your crit damage as high as possible. Lethal is optional, but I find that for my key damage dealers, you end up benefiting from lethal. And yeah, now I haven't given her any health rolls on the gears, but this is her base health at max ascended. And yep, and she's pretty brutal with dark metal cards, and I'm sure some of you have also use her with crown or a couple of other artifacts. And these are her roles. Now I probably need to give her a bit more armor PS, but she does the job. Like EPI, God Killer, Heartbreaker Harley Quinn, DMC, and either Silver or Predator Batman with Gemstone can even one-shot most heroic 7 bosses without raid artifacts. So that's pretty good. And then, of course, we've got EPI. I know one of the viewers of my channel had asked me for her build. I had shared her build, but then I'll also show you the talent roll. So with EPI, you again need to ensure you've got max fast attack and max your criticals. I haven't really done the max critical damage here, but yeah, I'd get to that. And then as long as you have that and you have like anything over 6,000 or 7,000 attack, you're going to do well with her. And because I've max ascended her, I've also added some defense, and her resistances are actually from God Killer. Otherwise, I haven't put 75,000 resistances on her because she recovers health, so I actually have only 20,000. And while I don't have all epic talents, I have 72% armor PS on her. That's pretty critical because for her you need at least 48% armor PS to get a critical, and as in to really get it effective. And I have this lethal damage roll to add to her passive, but given that I've maxed her, I should probably change this to a legendary armor PS or something. But it's good to have, because if we look at her, she's max ascended, so she's got 450% lethal attack damage, can go up to 500%, and plus I've got that 30% lethal attack damage roll, so that's 480. And I normally use her with if I use her as DD, I use her with my DMC, which has another 40%, so I hit that 50% cap. So that's Entangling Poison Ivy. And here we go, one of my favorite characters, Black Manta, and I normally use him either with Beta or Twin Blades, as you've seen in my videos, and with Batman Gemstone as support. That's for non-Aquaman bosses, and for like Aquaman bosses, you can either use him with Twin Blades or with Batarangs. And if you use BNGG, you can keep on stunning the bosses, and you don't even need to use SGL. Otherwise, you can use SGL and just swipe your way to 2 billion against an Aquaman boss. But I love using him against non-Aquaman bosses without Raven. So that's something I've been able to do after I ascended him 1 level. But of late, there are people who've been able to do that even without ascension. So that's good. There's a particular technique for that. And with this guy, you've got to make sure your crits are maxed, and I've given him max lethal so that if I ever want to use him with BNGG, I get infinite power gen, particularly for the gemstone pips. And here I've got max fast attacks through Batarangs, but in most cases, if I use him as a DD outside non-Aquaman bosses or outside a cleanup, I don't use Batarangs. So then I'd probably add Flash for that extra fast attack hit, but I love using him with Batarangs, because with Batarangs, and you use BNGG for infinite power gen. So when you play against Aquaman bosses, you stun them, and while they're stunned, you can do a 49 to 63 hit combo and then stun them before they recover again. So all thanks to those very Batarang fast attack hits. So that's pretty good. And with Manta, having a maxed fast attack chance and max critical attacks chance, and if you're using him with BNGG, max lethal attack chance, that's pretty much important. And as you see, I've given him 64% defense, but honestly, Manta has that passive where he increases the damage he blocks, so you can probably do with 40-45% if you want more attack. And I haven't built any resistances on him, but it's just that Jokerized Batarangs has a roll that I haven't changed. Otherwise, I've got 20% resistance. But I love the way this looks. It's got almost maxed everything. But yeah, this is 450%, but this is all right. So and of course with Manta you got to have those armor PS. So I've got around 72% armor PS, so that's pretty good. So that's that. And then of course my Beast Boy. You've seen him in videos, and this guy's got some armor PS, but it doesn't really matter much. No, actually, I don't have any armor PS on him. That's awesome. He still does some awesome one shots, and that's his build. So yeah, he doesn't really need fast attack. And again, look, defense is kind of optional in solos, but sometimes in league raids he takes a lot of damage from Brainiac, and some of those tougher solo bosses like that Chaos Darkseid or someone in either Taste of Evil or that Atrocitus in that other raid, they can really take out this guy, in no time. So it doesn't hurt to have defense, because with his buffs, even with, like, I've got 9,800 attack here, but even with 6,000 attack, he's going to be doing like one shots 99% of the time. So if even when I had him at 6 or 7 stars, so it doesn't hurt to have defense on him. But if you're sure you don't get hit, you can shift some of that to attack until you really ascend him up. So that's Beast Boy. And yeah, then this guy, King of Atlantis, Aquaman, I haven't really used him much over a year. I shot a couple of videos with him for requests, but ever since they lifted up Raiden, I've pretty much been using that guy with Raven or without, and this guy is rarely in my one-shot teams anymore, but he's still got some very fluid kinetic combos, and sometimes it's fun, like to have like Raven with a max puppet, and this guy with a max twin blade, and Dr. Fate with a max raid specific artifact. If you combo well, you can still do the one shot. So that's pretty good. But yeah, and yep, then Flash is good for invasions. As you've seen, he doesn't do much in raids, even with Raven, unless you have both Raven and Zatanna, but that's like a wasting 2 one-shot pips. So yeah, with Flash, it's all about his lethal passive. So I got that lethal damage roll. I've given him some armor pierce, and I've got that passive at level 5. He doesn't do as much splash damage in invasions and arena as Poison Ivy does, but he does some. So that's there. And then of course I've got Rockba. He's a main support for either my Manta Pip, or he's part of Flawed Justice, but I use Flawed Justice without him, even though it takes longer to build the P stacks. But yeah, he's good for supporting either Freeze or Manta, and talents don't really matter much here. I've given him some lethal and some armor pierce, and yeah. And this guy as well, yeah, the main thing is lethal, because like sometimes I use him like with Manta as a DD and BNGG for power gen, so this guy can keep on doing his special 3 and get that unhittable zone, so with the gems, and also add gemstone to that. So what really matters for me with this guy is just fast attack. You can do crits to the extent you can, and yeah, then resistances are mainly from the artifact, otherwise I haven't built much for him there. So that's this guy for you. And then you got Mr. Freeze. Now, ever since Ascension, he's been pretty OP. He's done like tons and tons of one-shots, but I have a feeling, which isn't confirmed, and I don't want to be spreading any rumors, but after a recent update, he feels a bit nerfed, because for a while after Ascension, you could just use him with Vixen and Dr. Fate, and he was doing 2 billion one-shots. With Beta and with Puppet, you could use him with anybody. He could, even with Puppet, he could do 1.8 billion, or if you wanted to do 2 billion, you could use him with either Deathstroke or Rockba. But now he seems to work only if you use Puppet and Rockba support. With the others, his damage seems to be slowing down for me in solo raids. In league raids, he's still pretty awesome. So that's the thing you got to be careful about, because sometimes there are changes or nerfs and whatnot. And with him, yeah, look, I just picked whatever nice epic talents I got, and I gave him some lethal attack chance. But with this guy, yeah, fast attack doesn't matter. You just want to max your crits and have at least 10,000 attack on him. Whether or not he's ascended, you do need at least 10,000 attack to do a heroic 7 2 billion with him and get your crits maxed. And lethal is optional, but as I said, I put it on all of my legendaries and key damage dealers if I ever want to use them with BNGG. So that's Mr. Freeze. And Then, yep, this is BNGG. Sometimes he can be a damage dealer, but I just love using him as a support. I don't try that BNGG BNR Brainiac pip, though you can use it. But I have given him some crits and lethal, and I haven't given him fast attack. But with him, they say that if you're using him as a DD, you just get as much attack as possible and probably take out some defense and add it to attack and just, get that big beta hit and then tag in Brainiac and stuff. But I just use him as support. And yeah, I've given him some armor pierce. He's got 96% armor pierce. What the hell? That's pretty good, man. Yeah. And yep, so that's there. And then there's Hawkman, who's like, I use him in my Flawed Justice team with Beta Club as the damage dealer, supported by Peacemaker. Now, I've got a 5-star Peacemaker. Ideally, you need at least a 6-star one shot 2 build using Puppet, but because I have Gemstone, a 5-star Peacemaker with Gemstone can help. And yeah, I've got to work on this guy's talents, but I haven't. But again, with him, I've given him max. If you're using him as a damage dealer, max critical chance and fast attack is a must. And here again, the icon suit which I put on him for arena has 75% resistances. Otherwise, he doesn't need much resistance. 24% is enough. And yeah, with him, you just want to max your crit attack and fast attack chance. And then again, lethal is optional. This guy's a gold character, so he doesn't benefit from BNGG's power gen passive. But I generally found that for my key damage dealers, if I ever use beta with them, then lethal is pretty handy. So yeah, that's there. And yep, and then in terms of I've got pretty much a full-on roster. I've got Raiden. You've got Predator Batman, who's ascended and is a good support character in raids. And then I've got Gold Black Adam. You've seen I use him in invasions. He's pretty handy with Puppet or Nora's Slow Grobe. And this is John Constantine. He's pretty much a loser unless you use Twin Blades and Raven support and EST and have around 64k passive, but that's because I only have him at 6-star. But yeah, he's good in arena. And then here's Zatanna. So I've just got her at 5-star, but she's pretty good as a support with Puppet. And with her, you just want to ensure that you just have enough basic health and at least around 5-6k attack so that she can apply the Puppet. So some people who've got a 7 or 8-star Zatanna use her as a damage dealer with beta, but until you get her to 6-star, she's mainly a support. So you just got to make sure that she lasts enough to, keep on applying Puppet and it's blind and she doesn't get killed off before that. And yep, and this is the man, Peacemaker and the Gemstone or Puppet, and it's good for powering up the Flawed Justice team. Oh, what the hell? I've given everybody max crit and lethal chance, so that's pretty good. Yeah, and fast attack. But with this guy, I think he's mainly a support. So with support, you want to ensure they have max defense so that they, in the rare case they hit, they don't die, because he's the one who's going to be applying the Puppet or the Gemstone as a support for Flawed Justice, and give them whatever resistances you can. So with your support characters, you basically want maxed fast attack, max defense, and some level of resistances, and everything else is pretty much optional. Yeah, haven't even built epic talents for him, so just got him at 5-star. And yep, and then that's Silver Batman. He's a great support for my teams. And then this is Robin King, who supports my BWTD. I only have him at 4-star, but he can do some good one-shots. And with this guy, again, the main thing is you can add some fast attack, which is pretty good, and give him some defense, maybe a bit more than I have, and ensure that he's got enough health to kind of survive any occasional hit or something. And you're just going to basically use him to apply Puppet. And then again, some people who have him, once you take him to 6 to 7-star, you can use him as the primary damage dealer as well. But while you've got him at 4-star, he's pretty much good as support for BWTD. And yep, and that's the rest of my roster. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, and I've had separate videos on my 6 to 8 one-shot teams. So yeah, and so you've got Raven, Batman, Ninja Batman, Heartbreaker, Harley Quinn, Mr. Freeze. And for invasions, I've got Multiverse, The Flash, and Armored Supergirl. And then you've got Entangling Poison Ivy, you've got Beast Boy, Black Manta, and then yeah, you've got the supports from Ruler of Kahndaq, Black Adam, and Nightmare Batman, who's great in invasions. And for yeah, the arena as well. So yeah, with this guy again, I've just pretty much done my usual mix build. So he's both a tank for me in invasions as well as a, like a support character in arena and raids. But I've kind of given him somehow, max crits and a good amount of lethal as well. Because sometimes for fun, I just use him with beta and with the Raven and stuff. But yeah, it doesn't do 2 bill unless you add some more support. But that's fun. But with this guy again, yeah, you just want to survive. And hey, I've even given him armor pierce. I don't know why I've built him like that. So that's most of my these guys. And in terms of like support, so EST is an important support for Constantine, because the shield you get from Elder Swarm Thing, the Justice League Dark, the shield they get from this guy is much harder for the even the toughest bosses to break compared to the shield you get from Silver Green Lantern, which gets like bashed out like crazy. So with this kind of support, you need to give him as much health as you can, because the shield that Justice League Dark gets is not based on his base health but is based on this maximum health. So that's one thing you can add with him. Just give him fast attack and give him defense and resistances and as much health as you can. Everything else is optional, because then that will be a good support for your Justice League Dark team. And yeah, so that's one example of a tank. And then yeah, this is Darkseid. I use him as a tank as well. I've used that Nth Metal Armor, or you can even use that LexCorp War Suit like I used on that guy Elder Swamp Thing. And yeah, again, then with a tank like Darkseid, you're going to give him max defense and as much resistances as you can. And fast attack doesn't really matter for this guy, though some people do, and everything else is optional. So that's your tank build. And then yeah, so and yeah, I haven't shown you Raiden, but yeah, Raiden is like this is his build. He's not fully ascended, but even with this build, like with Raven support, he does like 2 billion one shots in 45-49 seconds. Raiden beta with Raven is even faster than Beast Boy with max raid attack passives, and even in Heroic 7 with like 64k or even 40k plus passives, Beast Boy can finish off a Heroic 7 boss in 52 seconds. This guy, along with Raven, even with 45k passives, can finish off a Heroic 7 boss in 45 seconds if you really play it properly. So with this guy, you just want to make sure that you've got the fast attack, because he power steals and based on swipes and whatever that shit is. And then yep, give him as much attack as practical. But honestly, with Raiden, ever since I got him to 7-star, not even 11 stars here, if you're using him with Raven, anything 6k and 6000 plus is enough. But yeah, if you're playing in the higher divisions of invasions, or if you're using him as a damage dealer without Raven, then probably getting your attack up maybe even higher than a Habit isn't a bad idea. So yeah, and the rest of it is pretty much supports as well. So I've shown you my 2 main tanks and my other supports. Like, and this is an interesting thing, the difference between gold and silver characters. Like, this is Predator Batman, so he's got max crit, max lethal, max fast attack, near max defense, and his resistances even without the Amulet of Tech are maxed. And his health, if you remove that Amulet of Tech, he's got around around 30,000 odd health. So, and of course I've got all these epic talents on him, and including armor pierce. So that's the gold build. He's around level 78. But if I take Silver Batman, he's at level 76, but he's also got epic talents, and he's equally ascended. And I've given him lethal attack damage. For some reason, I've given him a lethal build. But with a silver character, you can have near max crits and max lethal and max defenses and resistances, similar to Predator, because I use these guys to apply the gemstone. So, and I haven't given them too much health, so I have max defense and resistances in case they take a hit. But in a silver one, unlike Predator Batman, I couldn't max everything. Like for Predator Batman, I had max crit attack chance, max crit attack damage, max lethal, max fast attack, max defense, and max resistances. But with Batman as the silver one, I had to skip either lethal or fast attack. So I kept the lethal one because with this guy, if I'm using it with gemstone, fast attack can help, but doesn't really matter. So yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So yeah, so that's my roster. Let me know your thoughts and how you do it and what your builds and stuff are. And yep, yeah, it's pretty interesting to see the different techniques people use and different builds they have. So yeah, cheers.